All right, welcome back to the Stretch Zero podcast. I'm Brian Mears, joined by Russell Peddle, who is my co-host. We are talking today. It is Wednesday the 17th. Sorry, we have been busy writing at our respective sites and have not got a chance to podcast as regularly as we want to, but we're podcasting now, and we're going to try to get back on track. Russell, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Glad to be back. Sorry for any of our listeners, however many of you there are out there. We've been super busy, and but we've thought about you daily, and we miss you, and we're happy to be back. And as I always promise and fall short on, we will try to do this more often.
Yeah, it's not like you're having your first baby in like a month.
Yeah, there is that whole thing. So yeah, getting
No.
getting ready. You know what's not fun? Building baby furniture like cribs and
Mm,
stuff. Not fun. So that's
can't
basically
imagine.
what I'm into this week. But I
Uh,
digress.
Fun stuff.
Yeah.
So we got a whole list of things to talk about just because we haven't talked in forever. We're going to try to catch up on a lot of the main storylines of the season. So we'll just kind of jump into it so we can devote as much time to the podcast as actually talking about basketball as opposed to ourselves.
Yeah.
Um, so first off, you wrote a piece on Russell Westbrook, and that's kind of where I wanted to start is the Thunder and kind of how the West is shaping up because we were all worried about how the Thunder would be able to kind of keep things together until Westbrook and Katie came back, and then it was this whole story whether they make the playoffs, and now it's December 17th, and they're one game out of the eighth seed right now, and we all kind of look foolish for panicking because they're obviously going to make the playoffs, and they're just as scary as we thought they were going to be.
Okay. So first of all, this whole we thing, I'm not going to be lumped into that. Everyone can go back and check my Twitter, and from the day that it seemed like the other two were coming back, and everyone was citing, oh, they need 49 wins to get in because that was the mark last year, and it's a completely
Hmm.
different season. They were only like, I don't know, six, probably even less than that, games out at the time, and now as of today, they're half a game back. They're half a game away from being 500. They're 9-1 in their last 10. Uh, they've got the longest winning streak of any team in the NBA now that the Warriors lost last night with seven. They're good. I don't know why everyone forgot how damn good they are with KD and Russ. And although yeah, obviously they're coming back from injury and it takes time. Like look at what Russell Westbrook has done in his games back from injury. Like that guy wasted no time getting better.
Yeah.
He's playing minutes
He,
like he's coming back from an injury, but he is definitely putting up numbers like he's in mid-season form.
yeah, he's like we all his faults that I mean, not that but people in the media focus on, that he shoots too much or that he's not efficient or he turns the ball over. Like, those don't really apply right now. And they didn't really apply at the end of last year, too. So I know that you had written about how great he's been, but it's something that, like, people miss. Like, it's almost like we have trouble as, like, basketball group thing where we, like, can't like if a player does something for just a season or two or like they grow up doing something like it's really hard for us to recognize that they're doing anything different
Hmm.
just that's just how they've been, and I think a lot of people are behind on just how good Russell Westbrook is. Like I think everyone knows that he's like super athletic and whatever, and but I feel like he is like legitimately like a top 5-10 guy in the league. I mean he's playing like the best guy in the league right now.
Well, he's playing like it. Like I wrote in that piece that you were referring to. The dude, okay, like he's been back for 9 games now. Okay, in all nine of
Hmm.
those games, he's gone for 25-5. Doesn't seem like a huge deal at first, but to do that 9 games in a row, basically LeBron has done it like a handful of times. But other than LeBron, Westbrook's the first guy to do that since Grant Hill in '97. Uh, we're talking like close to 2 decades worth of time here. He's doing
Wow.
it like he's currently averaging uh, career highs in points, rebounds, assists per 36. He's pretty close. He's not quite there, but his
Hmm.
assist percentage. Okay, look
Right.
at the advanced stats. All right, his assist percentage is currently 51.9%. Like he assists on 51.9% of the made baskets when he's on the floor,
Yeah.
and that is higher than anyone else in the league right now. And basically, he doesn't qualify for a lot of the leaderboards yet because he's only played 11 games, but soon he's going to qualify. And when he does, if he keeps up this current pace, he's currently the league leader in win shares per 48 minutes at .326.
Jeez.
Like, that's incredibly high. He's posting career highs in offensive rating at 117, in defensive rating at 99. He's got a sky-high usage, and he's still taking 21.6 shots per 36, so more than KD. But what people have always complained about him doing that, he's hitting everything. Like he's shooting almost 50% from the field.
Yeah.
He's hitting 35% from three, which has basically got him up to like he's up over 60% true shooting percentage, which of course he's never hit in his career. He's barely sniffed at. Like he's just on and focused. Like we saw in the Clippers series last year in the playoffs. Like this is just like FU Russ is in full effect, and it's incredible, and it's just he's also close to leading the NBA. He's like a couple fractions of a point off leading the NBA in scoring at only 29.6 minutes per game.
That's crazy.
It's just he's playing fantastic basketball. He's incredible, and I think the important thing here is everyone is appreciating him. Like the whole idea of the whole divisive thing where we're half are on him, half, and it's just this constant debate over if what he's doing is any good, or the fact that he's not a pure quote unquote point guard or stuff like that. Like it doesn't matter right now. He's just playing phenomenal basketball, and the Thunder are winning, and they look like a championship contender again, like just like that. So, I mean, what more can you say? KD is coming along slowly and doing well as well, but he came back what you have to imagine is a little bit early for his injury, and he's just got his minutes are ramping up slowly, but he played a healthy amount last night, but we're recording this on a Wednesday night, by the way. But he played well, and he's going to come along great, but to have Russ playing at this level, like the best, at 26 years old, playing the best ball of his career, it's just things are falling in place, and all the extra experience that the guys like Reggie Jackson and Jeremy Lamb and all those guys, Steven Adams and all those guys were getting while the main guys were out. Like it's gonna mean a lot come playoff time. That's like the Spurs do when their guys sit out big chunks of the season, and the little guys like the Corey Josephs and the Boris Diaz and all those people like work their game up to be playoff ready. So I just think that it was really short-sighted for everyone to be panicking about them in December when already we're at mid-December, and they're playing like the best ball of any team in the NBA, and they're right there. So talk of them not making the playoffs was ridiculous, and at this point I think talking about them being in line for still being well within reach of home court advantage is perfectly reasonable.
Yeah.
There's 7 games out of 4th right now.
So that's what I wanted to talk about was they're just a game, or are they a half game? Yeah, they're just a game back in the loss column from the 8th seed right now, but you said 7 back, is that right?
7 back from 4th.
7 back from 4th, yeah. So that's what I'm wondering is how important it is for them to make up that ground and get into home court advantage in the playoffs.
Well, home or away, what team is going to be happy with facing them? It's not it's not like the Thunder can't win on the road. They can win on the road. So, obviously it's important for them to get it because they've got one of the best home advantages in the league. But at the same time, it's not going to. I don't think it necessarily kills their championship chances not to get home court advantage, because home court advantage in the West is going to be difficult anyway. The seeds 5 through 8 in the West are going to be super competitive and are going to have a chance to win those series anyway. I'm not even even 8th seed. We're talking who's going to fall to 8th seed? Dallas or right now San Antonio is in 7th. It's just silly out West.
Yeah.
Your top 8 seeds. Let's say New Orleans falls out because we're not particularly scared of them outside of Anthony Davis. Once Oklahoma City takes over that, and you've got Oklahoma City, San Antonio, Dallas, LA Clippers, Portland, Houston, Memphis, and Golden State. All 8 of those teams have been phenomenal at some point this year.
Right.
and I don't see any reason why any one of them could not win a series against another.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting. Um, what do you think about? So who's the best team in the league right now?
It's hard not to say the Golden State Warriors. It's
Yeah.
really, really difficult. They're playing phenomenal basketball. Until they lost last night, they had won 16 straight games. They have a rookie head coach. The turnover, they didn't have much turnover in their personnel. They lost David Lee, their starting power forward, to injury most of the season. They brought guys like Harrison Barnes and Draymond Green into the starting lineup, and it's been great. And Maurice Spates has been great, and they're just working like a very, very well-oiled machine, and it's really difficult not to call them the best team right now. I don't know who would you pick in their place?
No, I think they're definitely the best team.
Well, their
Um,
net rating of 11.6 is easily the
ridiculous.
best in the league.
Yeah. No, I think they're definitely the best. I think that the Spurs are going to be. It's like I don't know, the Spurs are going to be up there once we get to the playoffs. So it like I don't want to just like say the Golden State Warriors are. I mean, they're probably the favorites right now to win the title, but it's tough to say because the Thunder are going to be up there, and the Clippers. I think so. I think the Warriors are the best team right now,
Mhm.
but I would say the Clippers, Spurs, and the Thunder are the other three teams that I legitimately would be scared of and think can win a title this year.
The scary thing for me in the West is honestly, like, championship contenders right now of what we've seen. Like, I think Golden State is a contender. I think Houston is a contender. The fact that they're 18-5 and they've been without Dwight Howard half the season, and many key pieces, like, we'll talk about this a little later, but James Harden, the way that he's put the Rockets on his back, it's
The
just,
friggin' beast.
yeah. And once their pieces are in place, man, they're a scary team, and
They
they're a
are.
contender. And Portland has somehow been a good, like a solid defensive team on top of being like still having that phenomenal offense. The Clippers
Hmm.
have, got at the gates a little slowly, but have been phenomenal. The Mavericks are good offensively, maybe not, but maybe you score more points than the other team. Maybe that's enough to win you a championship. And the Spurs are the Spurs, and OKC, of course. Like, honestly, if you said to me in 2015, come finals time, that any of those 8 teams is in the finals and is in place to win a championship, I would not be surprised.
Hmm.
Like, I would not go. Portland maybe a little less, Dallas maybe a little less.
Yeah.
Uh, the other teams I think have the makeup to do it. Memphis, we haven't even mentioned Memphis. Memphis has been phenomenal. They're 20-4. They beat the Warriors last night. They're the ones that snapped the streak.
Hmm.
Like, now I know that you're one of the few people on this planet left that doesn't believe in Memphis. Do you want to let that out there and put that out there in public, or?
Sure. Yeah, I'm the last person left in NBA world who is still skeptical of the Grizzlies. I think. I
The rest of us are very much on that bandwagon, I can
Yeah,
guarantee you.
yeah.
I'm very much on that bandwagon.
No, sure. Like I don't blame you, and part of it is just me being stubborn. But it's like
You are
I
pretty
asked.
stubborn.
Well, so they started off, playing an easy schedule, and they just didn't really impress me in their wins that I saw at the beginning of the year. So then
Okay.
I made this thing that I put it out there. I said if I'm gonna believe in the Grizzlies, I want to see them play a good team, uh, and I want to see them actually like beat a good team at full strength. And then their strength of schedule has gone up. Like they played the Rockets, they played the Raptors, they played the Warriors last night. But it's like every time they play a good team, like some person is out. Like they played the Rockets and Dwight was out. They played the Raptors and it was right. It was like the game right before DeRozan went out, or right after DeRozan went out, so they didn't have to. They were playing at not full strength. They played.
Oh, no, it was the other way around, actually. I don't mean to correct you on that, but when they were down a few guys because due to illness. That was before DeRozan went out.
mm,
But they lost, so it doesn't matter.
Gotcha. So they lost. Yeah. And they played the Warriors last. I was really looking forward to them playing the Warriors. So I had circled that on my schedule a couple weeks ago, saying that was the game I really wanted to see what they're made of. But then Bogut's out and they don't play. The Hornets, who are awful right now, took them to double overtime. The 76ers really should have beat them a couple nights ago, and it's just like maybe I'm just like the times that I tune in, they like look they are not playing well against teams that they should beat.
Okay.
And then the like when I do tune into like a good team, it's like that good team is under strength.
Hmm.
Um, and so I was just like I haven't personally seen a game where I've been impressed with them. Maybe I'm just like, but admittedly, like I'm trying to I have the full league pass, so I can watch as many games as I can, but I obviously can't watch every game. Um, so I admittedly haven't watched every Grizzlies game, so I'm sure that they have looked impressive at some time. But I haven't seen it on a consistent basis. Them beating good teams, you know, when I've seen them. But
Fair
maybe
enough.
they're really good. They could be.
Well, like I would contest that. Okay, like by Pythagorean wins, which of course takes into account margin of victory, which kind of gets rid of the schedule thing a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, they're currently fifth. That like they should have 17 wins, so they should be
Hmm.
17-7 instead of 20-4. But still, that's the fifth highest in the league.
Yeah.
Their strength of schedule, like you said, it hasn't been particularly difficult. They're 16th in the league according to Basketball Reference.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm still, I believe in these things like net rating and like adjusted margin of victory and adjusted net rating especially. Um, their current net rating, which of course for those that don't know, I'm sure most people listening to us would, but is offensive rating minus defensive rating. So possession points per 100 possessions versus points allowed per 100 possessions. Uh, Adjusted for strength of schedule, they're currently third in the NBA at 7, trailing only the Warriors and the Raptors. So like even with the schedule adjustment in there, like you know, I believe in their defense, and as we've discussed before, the fact that teams that get off to hot starts or have like good records that seem like anomalies, like if it's largely based on defense, then you can usually believe that it's going to continue to be that good. And with the Grizzlies, it is that, right? Like
Yeah.
they have the seventh best defense in the league right now.
Hmm.
Adjusted for strength of schedule, they have better than that. Hold on. They
My
have
concern was never their defense, to be fair.
no, to be fair, but like what is like their offense works fairly well too, right? Like
But that like that's what I'm like.
they're top 10 in both.
No, sure, but like they played the Rockets twice already, but they haven't played Dwight Howard. They have played the Warriors, but they haven't played Bogut. And I'm like looking down. They play the Kings without. Not that Boogie is an amazing rim protector, but I'm like looking down their schedule and like I haven't seen them play like a legitimately great like defensive team with a rim protector yet.
Okay, that's
Like
fair.
maybe a couple. Like they played the Thunder when they weren't at full strength. They played the Suns. They played like all these teams are like that they've played on their schedule. They played a lot of them at home, and they played a lot of them against not full strength teams and teams that not that they're not full strength, but they're missing their rim protector.
Okay,
So it's
that's fair, but I mean, like as well, they're playing against if they're playing against teams that don't like if the main knock on them is that they haven't played good rim protectors, like they're a team that's good at beating good rim protectors. They have two of the biggest bodies in the league in their front court. Like I would think that that's not going to be a weakness, even when that comes back. If that's the one caveat to their record, I think that that's something that they're going to overcome pretty easily.
I
You know what
mean
I mean?
no, sure. But their biggest concern was just always what can they get from their perimeter play. Conley's been great. I love Conley. He's one of my favorite players in the league. But
That's right.
the concern of what's going to happen on the wing. Tony Allen can't score. Courtney Lee's been great. Vince Carter was a great signing, but he hasn't been playing that much. And maybe
Hmm.
they're saving him for the playoffs. But I'm skeptical. Like I need to see Courtney Lee and like this and Tony Allen and these wing players play great offense. Against whoever team they play in the playoffs. Like it's not really fair for me to say you have to prove it in the playoffs or else I don't think you're good. Like I get that that's not fair, but like I'm still skeptical that those guys are going to be able to keep a top offense or a top 10 offense once they're actually playing good teams that can like actually scout them and are fully healthy.
Okay, I'll tell you what. They beat the Warriors last night, and although they were missing Bogut, they beat the Warriors. Okay.
Sure.
They face the Spurs tonight again. It's Wednesday.
Yeah.
They face their next. Listen to their next four of their next to five opponents. Okay, let's forget the Jazz. The Jazz are in there. Let's forget about them.
Mm-hmm.
Their four next opponents are the Spurs, the Bulls, the Cavs, and the Rockets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good little stretch.
Yep. So I'll tell you what. After that Rockets game,
Yeah.
let's talk about the Grizzlies again. All right.
Okay.
And let's see where they stand. Now, of course, they might face the Bulls without Joakim Noah, and they're going to face the Cavaliers, who we can talk away as not good rim protectors. So it's not. But like these are powerhouse teams. These are contending teams that they're going to face, and they've already beaten the Warriors. So if they can come out of this stretch with against the Warriors, Spurs, Bulls, Cavs, and Rockets, where they face all those teams in a string of a few games in a row,
Yeah.
I think at that point I'd have a hard time listening to you talk about them not being an elite team anymore.
Yeah, I mean, if they play, if they play that schedule and the teams are playing full strength, like, Pop doesn't pop us.
It's tough
And,
though. Like there are very few teams that like full strength isn't really a thing in the NBA anymore right now. You know what I mean? Like that's becoming a hard
True.
a hard asterisk to put on teams because like so few teams are playing at full strength. Like, the Spurs tonight are playing without Parker. The Bulls might play without Joakim Noah. The Cavs might play without Love. Like the Rockets might play without.
So maybe my issue is the fact that like
they're healthy and no one else is.
Yeah. So like they are healthy and like if it's not really like you have to be fortunate to be as healthy as they are. Like it requires a little luck and
There's conditioning too, and like
Sure.
there are other factors at play for sure. It's not all luck, all this injury stuff.
no, yeah, I mean sure, but
Like
part
look
of
at
it
the Bulls,
is
but look at the Bulls. They have these players that are, like Dang was before, and like Joakim. Like they put a lot of mileage on those guys. Rose, like these guys that are.
Yeah.
It's not a coincidence that Tibbs plays his guys 43 minutes a night, and that they're the most frequently injured guys in the league. Like, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
No, I know, sure. I mean that's definitely fair.
And the Spurs, are healthy at the right time because of the way that they space out people's minutes. And the Warriors look good this year because they're kind of doing a Spursian thing with their minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. I would like to see
Let's
how
talk
they do
after
against the
that Rockets game on Boxing Day. Do you have Boxing Day in the U.S.? Is that a Canadian thing or?
I have no clue what Boxing Day is.
Oh my God, are you serious? It's the day after Christmas.
We call it the day after Christmas. Yeah.
You guys don't have Boxing Day and Boxing Day sales and all that stuff.
I've never heard of that.
Okay, anyway, on Boxing Day, which is the 26th of December, that's when they play the Rockets. So at that point, we're going to have to maybe do a podcast or something and talk about where the Grizzlies are, the state of
At
the Grizzlies.
home, they do play them at home.
They do play them at home, but the games against the Cavs and like the Spurs tonight are on the road. So
I'm
right.
such a pessimist.
I know you are, but
Uh-huh.
it's fun because you don't jump on a bandwagon willingly. Like you wait and see how it plays out. So I appreciate that about you. My will is a little weaker on that. I'm jumping right on with them, but I'm interested to watch these next few matchups. I think tonight's game against the Spurs is going to be must see TV.
No, yeah, I'm looking forward to watching that. And it's like I'm not a Memphis hater. Like I actually really love Memphis. Like it has nothing to do with like bias that like I don't like any of their players. Like Marc Gasol and Mike Conley are two of my favorite players in the league. Like Vince Carter is a UNC guy. I love you. Like I love their team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like I'm also like trying to look at it objectively. Like can they legitimately win a title? And like that's where my concern is. But I'm not trying to hate. And I really want to like them and think that they are good enough to win a title. I would be happy if they won a title. But all right, so yeah, let's get through this next week and and talk. So let's move over to the East a little bit. So you wrote a piece today about the Hawks and whether they are true contenders, and I admittedly have not had time today to read it. So tell us, are the Hawks true contenders?
Okay, I don't want to use the word contender. I don't think they're a championship contender per se. However, what I contest in the piece is that they are, in fact, they belong in that group the East Elite, which at like preseason was really the Bulls and the Cavs, and no one wanted to hear anything else. I think that's gone. I think that no longer exists. I think the Cavs are too bad on defense and are too inconsistent, and that the Bulls are just cannot stay healthy enough to take it seriously, those being the only two teams and it being impossible to crack in. Obviously, the Raptors have gone up to they're 19-6. Say what you want about their schedule or about their opponents or about how they're playing. They're 19-6, and that record speaks for itself. They belong in that upper echelon. The Wizards as well, who are only a half game back of the Raptors at 18-6. They belong up there as well. And the Hawks kind of, they have quietly gone 12-2 over the last 14. And we're not talking about it a lot because they beat up on a lot of lower opponents, especially in the Eastern Conference. But I dug into the numbers just because I noticed that they were contending at the top of the East, and I was like, are they going to stay up there? Is this for real? So, over the last 12 games, they've been really, really fantastic in terms of like their defensive rating has been third over that 14-game stretch in the league, which is pretty phenomenal. They've had the second best winning percentage behind only the Thunder. The Warriors, of course. And so I looked at their season as a whole, and yes, they have had the easiest schedule. Okay, they're number 30 in strength of schedule right now. So obviously, playing a lot of the bad East teams, they've benefited from that. However, Basketball Reference has a cool tool where you can adjust for strength of schedule, and you can look at things like offensive rating and defensive rating, and so on. And they still rank in the top 10 in both of those, adjusted for strength of schedule, and they're third in the East. They're basically the only East team that ranks in the top 10 in both offensive and defensive once they're adjusted for strength of schedule. And I think being in that range, like we looked at like last season, we looked at the true contenders. We talked about this on previous podcasts, like having that balance of being a top 10 team in both of those categories. Like last year, the only teams out West were the Thunder, Spurs, and Clippers, and those felt like the legitimate title contenders. Mm-hmm. So, to that point, I don't necessarily think that Atlanta is a title contender, and I mean, Numberfire, the website that we write for, only has them at a 2.5% chance of winning the title, which is only the 13th best in the association. However, if you want to talk about who are the best teams in the East, like I said, I think the Cavs and Bulls, that group, that two-man group is finished, and it's now a five-man group of the Raptors, Wizards, Bulls, Cavs, and Hawks. And honestly, like I think that those five teams could flip around any which way between now and the end of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this comes, and I'm personally, I was a Hawk detractor. Like I was coming into the season, I didn't believe that they would be necessarily that much better just with Al Horford back. And of course, Al Horford hasn't been phenomenal by any stretch of the imagination. However, he has been coming on recently, and he's making a difference. And I think they're a really fun team. Like you look at the way that they're constructed and the way they kind of have the inside-out game going with Horford and shooters surrounding him, and Jeff Teague is playing the best ball of his career. And I think they're a really interesting team, and I think they're better than possibly anyone is giving them credit for right now. And we should be talking about them a bit more as belonging in that upper echelon. What are your thoughts on that?
Did you know Kyle Korver is shooting? He's an effective field goal percentage, which is just field goal percentage, but it gives an extra tick for three-pointers. He has an effective field goal percentage of 70.4%.
Yeah, that's just completely unreal.
Like, how is that real? And he's shooting his free throw percentage is 96%. He's only missed 2 all year.
He's just unreal. He's really something else. Like his shooting is just he is the golden standard for shooting right now, up there with Steph Curry. And having that guy on like hanging around the perimeter, like as far as catch and shoot goes, like the Hawks lead the league in effective field goal percentage on catch and shoot. Or sorry, they're third best, I should say, at 55.5. And Kyle Korver's a big part of that. He scores 9 points per game on catch and shoot, which is he leads the league. And it's a matter of doing what you do and doing it well. The thing with the Hawks is that their ball movement is excellent. They're the best in the league at points created by assists. They're top of the league at 60 per. Um, and on the defensive end, like I said, they're a top 10 defense, despite the fact that they have the absolute worst rim protection in the entire league. Which is something. It's funny because the Cavaliers, like we talk about, their biggest deficiency is on defense, and they need a rim protector and blah blah blah. Like look at another team in the East, the Hawks, who are the worst worse than the Cavs at rim protection. They allow 57% at the rim per game, which is the worst. Like I said, their two front court players, Millsap and Horford, are both two of the bottom 15 players in giving up percentage at the rim, and yet they're a top 10 defense. And it's just a lot of it has to do with good perimeter D, a good system in place. Budenholzer seems to be one heck of a coach, having come up in the Spurs system, and they're finding ways to make it done. They're capitalizing. They're taking advantage of the fact that Kyle Korver is a dead-eye shooter and putting him in positions to be successful. And they're playing to their strengths on defense, and they're playing to their strengths on offense, and then they're a good team, and that's about it.
So if they are last in rim protection, but they have a top 10 defense, does that make you? So your first thought was, okay, they must have really good perimeter defense. And my first thought was that, okay, well then they're probably bound for regression.
Yeah, there is that aspect to it, but at the same time, I don't know, if anything, a regression, in terms of it could go the other way. Maybe their rim protection stats will get better. Maybe that's where the regression is coming from, because Al Horford is not historically this bad at protecting the rim, nor is Paul Millsap.
Yeah, that's true. Interesting.
Because they don't face a lot of shots at the rim. That's the thing. They're in the bottom third of the league in shots faced at the rim, which is a big part of it. So that's again where the perimeter defense comes into play, and they force a lot of turnovers.
Yeah,
so and that's defensive scheme. That's that's something that should stick, as we said.
Yeah, that's true. So staying in the East, what are some other surprises? The Bucks. They're kind of surprising.
Yeah, they're incredibly surprising. I mean, look, it's December 17th today, the day that we're recording this, and the Bucks are 6th in the East, and they are one game over 500. This is a Bucks team that's over 500.
Who would have thought?
Us.
True. Yeah.
We will continue to brag about that all season, and I apologize to people for that, because we got things right, we got things wrong, like everyone else does, and people go on their podcasts or on their Twitter and they talk about all the things they got right and often ignore the 50 things they got wrong. We'll own up to the things they got wrong too. We got wrong as well. Hey, I really thought Klay Thompson would not be this good. Things like that. But I will still brag about calling the demise of Lance Stevenson, and I'll gladly take credit for when we talked about how the Bucks could very well be a playoff team, and they've been great, because a lot of their players have regressed to the mean. They've gotten more production out of players that weren't playing as well last year as we could have expected. The Jabari news is super duper unfortunate. I know you wrote about that today. You wanna talk about that a bit?
Yeah, it is unfortunate, because I think he was pretty easily going to win the Rookie of the Year this year. I was reading an article by Kevin Pelton, who's one of the ESPN writers, and he found that if you just average, or if you combine points, rebounds, and assists and just get a per game average, the past 27 times that the Rookie of the Year has been given out, the last 26 of those 27 times, it's just been whoever is the highest. So it's not even really who's the best player, because it's advanced metrics says that some different players, the advanced metrics says that Mirotic is the best rookie this year, but Rookie of the Year is mostly just kind of raw stats and who's putting up the most production, whether it's efficient or not.
That sounds very interesting. I'd like to read that article, because I've noticed that as well. We've talked about that, about how Michael Carter-Williams won last year despite being one of the least efficient players in the entire league, and he just put up stats on a bad team. We're not really sure if he was good or not. Yeah. And Tyreek Evans a few years ago did it as well. It really comes down to those three counting stats basically. Yeah.
And it's just kind of public perception. They just see someone scoring points, and most people don't care about it in stats, even though we do a lot. And and it's just kind of like whoever looks the best and whoever's getting minutes and stuff like that. And Jabari was ahead in that respect, points plus rebounds plus assists by a pretty comfortable margin. And the second guy was Andrew Wiggins by a fairly comfortable margin as well. So he's the next guy that's probably the favorite to win Rookie of the Year. So if you can still get odds on whatever he was, and you're a betting man, do that.
It's almost certainly Wiggins at this point. Like the funny thing about this draft class that was so hyped up, it's really sad when you look at the draft board and you go like, okay, number 1 was Andrew Wiggins. Okay, he's still playing. He went through that whole trade thing, but he's still playing. Jabari Parker out. Joel Embiid out. Aaron Gordon out. Dante Exum there, but we're not quite sure how good he is. Marcus Smart out. Julius Randle out. You know what I mean?
That sucks.
It's been really sad.
KJ McDaniel's in.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Well, when he gets playing time.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing with the Sixers. You can't really rely. Like random benchings of him and Noel, and all of a sudden Robert Covington is a thing. We'll talk about that a little bit in the fantasy section at the end, I guess. But
I love Robert Covington.
I do too, for some reason now. Like
he takes a 3-pointer like every other time he touches the ball, but I love it. He's so great. He's perfect. Like I think he has roots in Houston basketball. Like maybe he played in the D League there or something like that. I can't remember.
He played a little bit there last season.
Yeah, so you can definitely see that he was shaped by more ball.
Oh my God, yeah.
But I just love it. Like that's what Philly needs right now. Just a guy who's just gonna gun it. But yeah, back to the Bucks. So I talked about whether they're contenders, and we've thrown around that word a lot. When we
can't use contenders with Bucks though. Can we use something like playoff contenders maybe?
Playoff contenders, yeah, that's fair. So whether they are have the capability of contending for a playoff spot. There we go. And I think the answer is yes. I mean, like who's going to catch them? Like the Hornets are not what we thought. We thought the Pistons maybe were going to get a playoff berth this year. The Pacers are respectable, more respectable than maybe we thought with no players on their team. But it's like you kind of look below them, and it's like they're the 6th seed right now. Like I don't necessarily see a team that's going to catch them. Like the Nets are the 8th seed right now, and the Nets are bad. I mean, the Nets are a bad team.
The funny thing about the East now is when you look at it, like, it's almost to the point where we've talked about it too much about the whole East-West disparity. Like we get it. Like the two sides are very different and very far apart. The West is phenomenal, but like I don't think we can play down how good the East teams are. Like that top group of 5 I was talking about, the Raptors, Wizards, Hawks, Bulls, and Cavs. But beyond that, like there are a lot of bad teams in the East beyond that. And if you're gonna name which team after those 5 has, like so far in 2014-15, looks to be the best team, I guess you could say the Heat, but at the same time, I'm not really ready to say that based on like the fact that Dwayne Wade is not playing very much. Now Bosch is hurt, McRoberts is out for the year. Like, it's going to be an uphill battle for them. And then you're looking at guys like just outside the playoff picture right now are like Orlando and Boston, and these are teams that are still rebuilding and.
Yeah, like they don't want to get in the playoffs.
No, and then like they just can't get below Indiana and Charlotte and these teams, and New York has been horrible, and Philadelphia has been like historically bad, and Detroit has been just right there with them, despite the fact that we thought they would be better. And I think you could legitimately make an argument that Milwaukee currently sits at 6th in the East, and maybe they are the 6th best team in the Eastern Conference.
I actually think they are. Like I think that it's really that.
Without Jabari that'll be a major blow though to that case, I think, but.
See, I'm not sure it will be, and like this is not trying to hate on Jabari. Like rookies, like advanced stats wise, like I'm not sure that they're going to miss him as much as.
Yeah, like efficiency as he figures out the game. Yeah, that's always an issue for rookies. Is just like really glaringly bad efficiency with the ball and shooting and stuff like that. So there is that.
They've kind of built their record on having a better defense than we thought.
A much better defense than we thought. Yeah.
Their offense hasn't been good. Like they're bottom 10 in offense. But I think a big part of it was the fact that they're playing uh, Giannis and Jabari at the 3 and 4 position so much, and those guys really aren't shooters. So it's like they weren't getting really any spacing at all. So if you look like who's going to take Jabari's spot now that he's going to be out, and the obvious answer is
Middleton.
Ilyasova, who's going to be back on Thursday.
You don't think it'll be Middleton?
Well, I think Middleton will. I think they'll kind of split it. But Middleton, Jabari was playing a lot at 4, and Middleton's more of a 3 to me. Like regardless of what you think of positions, it's like kind of like who you can defend. I don't think Middleton can defend 4s, and I think Ilyasova can. So I think
Right,
Ilyasova
because
will get a
Jabari was
lot of
playing the
them.
4, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So I think Kid will play Ilyasova, and Kid loves Ilyasova anyway. Um, he raves about him publicly every time he gets a chance. So I think that their offense might actually improve a little bit.
Well, Ilyasova was playing well too before he went out with this injury, right?
Yeah,
Like
now
he
he's
was playing
shooting
a lot.
real well. Yeah,
Yeah.
he leads the Bucks in player efficiency rating and is shooting real well. So I think that maybe if you slot him along Giannis and Brandon Knight and kind of let him space the floor a little bit, I think their offense might actually improve. And while Ilyasova is not like the stoutest defender by any means, like it's not like Jabari was either. Like
Mhm.
they were good because him and Giannis and Larry Sanders can just be really long.
Right.
But people were just getting around Jabari whenever they wanted to. So I think that Ilyasova maybe the trade-off he is giving them offense for defense. I think that there will be. I don't think they're going to be any worse than they were. I think it's kind of a lateral thing. Obviously, like Jabari's going to be great in the future, but for this one season, I don't think it really makes them any worse.
Right.
So yeah, like it's like I think they're going to stay like an average team. Like that's where they are right now. Like they're 13 and 12. They have a winning percentage of 52%. Like they're an average team. Like they're not a great team by any means, but like an average team gets the 6th seed in the East. That's just kind of how it is. And like I think they can stay an average team. And I think 42 wins. 40, 42 wins. Like that's good enough to make the playoffs in the East.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there.
So yeah, I'm not sure like what's going to happen when they get there. Like maybe they get lucky. Maybe they get a team that has an injury or something like. The Hawks caught the bad Pacers. Like they didn't win, but they took them to 7 games, and like you just never know. So like stay competitive. Like let Giannis continue to develop, and they're in a good spot. I like what I'm seeing from the Bucks this year.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll move on. What else is there? Mike Malone firing.
Yeah,
What are your thoughts?
that was weird.
Yeah.
Like put simply, I mean, I don't understand. I've read a little bit on it, and obviously philosophical differences with management and all blah blah blah. But I really don't understand why that would happen. It's they were off to a 9-6 start when Boogie was healthy. They were exceeding everyone's expectations,
Yeah.
and they just like I don't really understand why like Boogie was out for a while and he was sick and they kind of like still stayed somewhat afloat and he was getting basically collectively the best season out of Boogie, Gay, Collison, possibly of their careers. Macklemore was starting to look like an actual thing. I don't know. I find it really. I don't know. It's
Weird.
unfortunate. It's very weird, and I think especially going to Ty Corbin, who was just horrible with the Jazz,
Yeah, he's not a good coach.
and now they're saying like, okay, it'll be him for the rest of the year, and then we'll look at like Chris Mullin, and we'll look at George Karl, and we'll look at Vinny Del Negro, and it's like, well, Chris Mullin's unproven, Vinny Del Negro is proven to be not good, and George Karl is a strong offensive coach, but not necessarily a defensive one, and I. I guess it would fit the up-tempo style that they want to play. Like it's a big style thing. Like they want the Kings to be a run and gun team and be fun and exciting, yet their best player is a back to the basket big. Like
Yeah.
it makes no sense. And I just think of the flurry of moves that they make. Like if Boogie's on, he was getting really good. Like Boogie's trip to like DeMarcus Cousins being on Team USA and then coming back and being really in the swing of things and being a lot more mature, and he seemed to get along with his coach, and that's a really important thing for a young guy like him who's got a history of being a head case, and then for him to be in a position where they had found a coach that could tame him, not
Hmm.
for lack of a better word. Um, just seems so stupid, like so painfully stupid.
Yeah, my first thoughts were like this, like they have a new owner, and he obviously just doesn't really get the basketball side of things, and
Hmm.
maybe he just has like a personal difference with the coach. And like, there's been these like rumors that he has wanted to experiment with things, and like, did you read that article about how he wanted to
For,
experiment with cherry picking?
yeah, to do 4-on-5 defense and always have someone up in the front court to cherry pick essentially.
So,
Like it sounds like a high school strategy. Like I, I don't understand how anyone possibly thinks that could work. And maybe I'll eat crow about it someday, and it will. But like, my God, is that really a thing that someone like with power over an NBA team thinks is a logical thing to do? I mean, I don't
yeah,
know.
that was funny. But so like, full disclosure, I will admit, for like, so I was reading the article, and my first thought was like, God, this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But then for like 5 seconds, I legitimately thought like, or is this brilliant? Because I was thinking, I was like, that might work. Because like, if you're,
Always the contrarian, aren't you?
well, I was just thinking, was like, if you're already a bad defense, like, what is really the harm? Because I was like, you're at least uh, like you're getting points out of it, and like it makes the other team scramble because they have to like try to figure out how to defend the other guy who's cherry picking, and then all of a sudden maybe you're getting like a 4-on-4, and if you just use it to be your worst defender, who's the cherry picker, then it's like a guy who the team can't pick on. Like I thought about it way too much, and I was like, is this like a brilliant idea? Um, I don't think
I,
it is a brilliant idea,
I'd
but
want to see it in action. I'd
yeah.
see it to
But I
believe it.
actually thought about it for a second. I was like, this could work. I don't know. Like
Okay.
who's like a really bad who's like the worst defender in the league?
I would have once said Harden for that, but we can't say that anymore. I don't know, Jeremy Lin.
Jeremy Lin, yeah. Like what good is he doing on defense? Like he might as well just stand on the other side.
Yeah, I suppose.
I don't know. I don't know. This podcast is uh, going to a weird place. Um,
Yeah, people are going to start associating us with this strategy and saying like, well, the stretch zero thinks that this works. Like, the six people that listen to us.
yeah, if there's a movement and we're like popular enough where like that's what people think of us, like hey, at least people think about us.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'll take it. So yeah, let's move on. Let's talk. Let's talk All Star starters.
Okay, yeah,
I know it's still young, but
it's young, but the All-Star ballots opened up like less than a
yeah,
week ago, so like people are voting now. So I think it's a decent discussion to have.
yeah. So you get two guards, two forwards, and a center on your starting team, right?
No, they've changed it to three front court players. It
Three
doesn't matter if
front
they're a
court
center.
players. Okay. All right.
So you can have like three small forwards technically.
All right. So let's start in the East.
Okay, the East is
Uh,
tough though. Like I was thinking about this and I was like, man, there aren't many good East forwards.
yeah, that's tough. So the guards are definitely Lowry and Wall, right?
Yeah, 100%. I 100% agree with you. It
Yeah.
won't be. It'll probably be. Here's the thing. Like, okay, let's discuss. This came up on a starter show last week, I think, or this week, where they discussed
Yeah.
this, and I thought it was interesting because the thing is, we'll talk about starters, and a big part of it will be fan voting. And if we were talking about fan voting, we're talking about like Kyrie Irving and maybe Derrick Rose or Dwayne Wade. But realistically, the people who actually deserve to be all-star starters, if you did it by you know, people with it was only selected by people who really pay attention to basketball, or it was only selected by I don't know advanced stats or something like that. Lowry and Wall, I think, are the unquestioned starters of this team.
Yeah. I
They've both
agree.
they've both been phenomenal. Like Lowry has been just it's been unreal. He's averaging close to 20 points, 5 rebounds and close to 8 assists. Like
Yeah.
it's phenomenal what he's doing for the Raptors, and they're still winning games because of him. He has nearly 120 offensive rating. Like
Yeah.
the guy is playing inspired basketball, and he has a 23 PER. I mean, you know, he deserves to be. Not only does he deserve to be in the game, like he was one of the big snubs last year. Like he should absolutely be in the game this year, and I think he will be because the Raptors are the top team in the East, and DeRozan's missed a lot of time due to injury. He should have been the guy last year in place of DeRozan for what it's worth, but I think there's no way he's left off the team. But he should start, and they're talking about it on Raptors broadcasts here a bit in Canada, where they're like, we have a lot of people. There are a lot of people in Canada. We can vote this guy in, and that would be it'd be done right. He should definitely be the starting point guard for the Eastern All Stars this year, with Wall right alongside him. Like again, it doesn't matter. We have 2 point guards. That's fine. It has to be 2 guards because Wall's been phenomenal too.
Yeah, I agree. Um,
So we're in agreement there. Now,
Yeah.
the forwards we might be a little bit different on. If you had to pick 3 forwards right now, who are your 3 forwards?
Gosh, that's tough. LeBron's in there.
Of course, yeah.
Um, gosh. So let me just kind of list the ones I think are deserving, and then I'll decide. Bosch is in there.
Yep.
Millsap is in there.
Yep.
Vukovic, can we put him in there?
Does he do
He's
much
been
outside
good.
of rebounding? Like,
Yeah, I like him. It's Jimmy Butler. He's a small forward. Does he count?
nah, he's a shooting guard. He's
Shooting
not a small
guard?
forward.
Do that. Kevin Love, you know, I think he hasn't been like their best player in the league like last year, but I still think that he probably warrants discussion. Pau Gasol is definitely in there. I would go probably LeBron, Bosch, and Millsap.
Wow, we're really so we have our East team looks exactly the same.
Hmm.
That's pretty cool. Yeah,
Okay.
no, I would also say LeBron, Millsap, and Bosh. I think Millsap just consistently one of the most underrated players in basketball.
Yeah.
The guy that averages 16 and a half points, almost 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 2.2 steals. He's close to leading the league in steals per game as a power forward.
Yeah.
Nearly a block a game. He's hitting over a 3-pointer per game. He's a stretch 4. He's hitting 47% from the floor. Like
Yeah.
he's great. He's absolutely an all-star this year. And he should start. He won't get voted in because he
Yeah.
barely makes the teams, let alone get voted in as a starter. But he should be. I mean, realistically, Melo and Bosch will probably be the other starters, or maybe Love. Love is a guy that a lot of people know, but people will talk like Love's candidacy down. But I think you make a good point. Like he's having an all-star season. We're basing it on his stats not being as big and inflated as they were when he was the guy in Minnesota, right? Like, so we're going to look at it and say, like, okay, last year he averaged 26 and 12 and a half, and now he's only averaging 18 and 10 and a half, and so that seems like a big drop off. So he's not an all-star anymore. It's like that's bull. Like he's on a team with more talent. He's essentially taken the Chris Bosh hit, like when he went to Miami, but Bosh was still an all-star. Right, he was still recognized as that, and Love should be as well. He's a major contributor to the Cavs team, and he is just because his stats aren't as flashy doesn't make him any less valuable. Like he's still stretching the floor with his threes. He's still getting tons of rebounds.
Mm-hmm.
He's an excellent passer. He's for his position and all that stuff. So yeah, I think he deserves to be there as well. But I like Millsap more and I like Bosh more.
Yeah.
So yeah, Lowry, Wall, LeBron, Millsap, and Bosh, we completely agree. Out west, who are your guards?
All right. So for this exercise, we're agreeing that it's not who we think will be, but it's who is
Who we think
deserving
deserves.
right now.
Yeah,
Okay. As of right now, the guards in my mind should be Harden and Curry.
agree 100%.
Okay.
It's tough to keep CP3 out because he's had a phenomenal season as well.
Yeah, like CP3. Yeah. Like there's just so many guards out west.
I know there are too many. Like even
Damian Lillard's great this year.
might not make it. Monte Ellis, Klay Thompson, like these are guys that are like have been phenomenal and just might not make the team.
Mike Conley.
Mike Conley, like there are too many good guards. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna have Curry, Harden, CP3, Westbrook. Um, Tony Parker will probably be in the conversation, although I think he doesn't deserve to be at this point.
Yeah.
You're going to have Conley. You're going to have Klay Thompson. You're going to have Monte Ellis. You're going to have who am I missing? I'm sure there are tons of other guys that I'm not even thinking about. Damian Lillard, like you said, like there are just too many. So, but we agree Curry and Harden are leagues above them, right? Like
Yeah,
those two guys are
I think
the
pretty
all
easily.
stars right now. Like they're two of the best players in the league right now. When you look at like LeBron kind of struggled out the gate, and
Mhm.
Durant's just coming back, and Westbrook's just coming back. Like Curry and Harden have been the two best players in the NBA, arguably. We'll get to that in a minute. We'll talk about MVPs. But who are your three forwards?
Um,
Sorry, who are your two forwards other than Anthony Davis?
yeah, Anthony Davis definitely in. I would put Marc Gasol in there.
Okay,
Um,
trying to make good with the Grizzlies
no,
fans.
Marc Gasol has been good.
Of course, yeah, yeah.
Um, so that third one.
You can't leave Durant off. I don't care if he just got back. We've got another 2 months until the All Star break. Like you're telling me that he.
No, well, we just defined it as who has been deserving as an All-Star as of today.
Okay, no, I meant more like who should be there, not who will be voted there. Like I think,
But like as of right now, Durant's only played like a week's worth of games.
yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, but
Yeah, okay, yeah,
just
but I mean, but it's pointless to say it because we can name three forwards right now, but it'll be Durant in 2 months. Like
no,
it's
I
just
agree. I know, I 100% agree. It will be him, and he's still like the best player in the world, other than like LeBron and maybe Anthony Davis. But just for the sake of if the exercise is who's deserving right now.
okay. We'll pick three right now, and we'll just say that we'll pick which one we think will be displaced by Durant when the time comes.
So Anthony
So
Davis,
Anthony Davis,
Gasol.
Marc Gasol, I agree with those two as well. My third pick, you want my third pick, or you want to say it?
Yeah, give me the third.
Boogie. He's missed a lot of time, I know, recently, but he was just playing phenomenal basketball before. And there are other like you're looking at LaMarcus Aldridge, you're looking at Blake Griffin, guys like that. But I mean, I don't think that they were really playing at Boogie's level.
No, that's fair.
So I would say Davis and Boogie and Gasol. And I think if I had to cut one to make room for Durant when the time comes, based on the time he's missing, it would be Boogie, I
That's
suppose.
fair. Yeah. Let's see what else I would put. This really is tough. Like, can we have three guards instead?
Yeah, I wish.
Um,
No, but that makes things complicated. The West is just too good. The West should just be. Yeah, that team is going to be ridiculous. It's going to be hard to put together, honestly.
can I
Like
put
I'm
Draymond?
sure we'll
Can I
discuss
put
that.
Draymond Green in there?
Yeah, you know what? I wouldn't hate you for it.
Um, Gordon Hayward's been good this year.
Gordon Hayward's been fantastic this year too. Yeah, there are so many
Um,
good players this year.
um, what's his name? Tyson Chandler's been great too.
Tyson Chandler's been deserving of an All-Star spot as well. You're very true.
Kawhi doesn't put up the stats, but
But
he's
has been
always
playing
great.
great lately as well. Yeah, too many good ones. Anyway, beyond the starters, I mean, you know, we'll do that another time. Since we just discussed a lot of people that are obviously would be the top of our list for this next bit.
Mhm.
It's super early in the season. We're just barely past the quarter mark, and obviously things will change. But who would be your MVP at this point in the season? Because this is a thing that people will start discussing around this point in the year, and continue to discuss all the way to the end of it. So
Right.
we might as well jump in.
Yeah. I think it's hard, and I don't really even think it's really that close right now,
Y-
which might be controversial.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are putting Steph up there and put Anthony Davis, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, like if you're thinking about just like most valuable player, like if that's kind of how you want to define it, like if you take out Harden and you look at the rest of that Rockets roster, like what is there left? Like Ariza is an okay guy, but he's a catch and shoot guy, really. Like they're playing Tarek Black major minutes at the
Yeah,
four. Like Monty Eunice is getting major minutes and is looking really good because of Harden. Like they have guys who like probably aren't starters on a lot of other teams who are playing major minutes, and the Rockets are what, like third in the West right now. They're 18-5. Like that's ridiculous. Like if you replace any of these guys with like a league average guy, the Rockets are they have what, like 4 or 5 wins maybe.
yeah. I agree completely. With Harden, people will still talk down his defense, but of course,
Well, that's just them not watching the NBA this year,
yeah, that narrative is worn out, and especially now at the point where he has put in the effort. All he needed to do
but just be okay.
to get to that next level was to be okay. Like his responsibility on the offensive end is way too great to expect him to be a phenomenal defender, lockdown defender as well. Like how many players in the league completely carry their team's defense and their team's offense? Like none of them.
LeBron.
LeBron maybe. That's it.
Yeah.
Uh, and even he has like slacked a little bit on the defensive end over the last couple of years in
Oh,
terms
we're
of
talking like peak LeBron. Yeah.
yeah. So like what players do that? There are so few, and especially from the like at the guard position. Like we're talking like, are we holding him up against the standard of Michael Jordan? Like that's unfair. At the end of the day, he is arguably the best offensive player in the NBA in terms of like creating
I think
and
he is.
scoring and
Yeah.
getting to the line.
Yeah.
Like people will point to people with better field goal percentages, or they'll point to people who turn the ball over less, or they'll point to people like, listen, the guy gets to the line, he creates for himself and for his teammates. He is the whole reason that the Rockets are anywhere close to where they are right now. I think leaving him out of the conversation is just, attempting to be trendy and saying that he's a bad defender more than like, like jumping on that more than actually, uh, dealing with the reality of the game right now. James Harden is, if you look at the Rockets, like to your point, okay, the Houston Rockets obviously have been were without Dwight Howard for 12 of their 23 games. Okay, um, 23, yeah, they played 23. They're 18-5. After, if you take out James Harden, here is the leaders in minutes for the Houston Rockets. Okay, Trevor Ariza, Donatas Montehunas, Jason Terry. What's left of Jason Terry is fourth on the Rockets in minutes. Um, Papa Nicolau, then Dwight, obviously, but he's missed a lot of time. Tarek Black, Patrick Beverly, Isaiah Cannon, Joey Dorsey. Like,
That's brutal.
is there another team in the even in the top 15 teams in the league that has players like Joey Dorsey, Tarek Black, Papa Nicolau, Monte Hunis, and what's left of Jason Terry as their minutes leaders?
Mhm.
It's just what he's done is ridiculous. He is absolutely the front runner in MVP. The guy is averaging 26.3 points, 6.4 rebounds, 6.7 assists, 2 steals, 1.1 blocks. Like 2 steals and 1 block. Like I don't have it in front of me. You put that in the play index and try to find players that have averaged 2 steals and a block per game in the history of the NBA. You're not going to find many.
All right,
Uh,
let me do it.
all right.
Keep on talking. I'll do it while you do it.
Okay, geez, if you want, throw it after that. Throw in the 26, 6 and 6, because you're not going to find much that have done that either. Through 23 games, and he's just yeah, he's carrying the team, and he's got a offensive rating of 115 and a defensive rating of 98. And people can talk away defensive statistics all they want, and talk away defensive rating, and talk away steals per game and blocks per game. Like at the end of the day, the boy is getting stops, and his team is a top tier defensive team, despite the fact that they've missed their best defensive player in Dwight Howard for more than half the season. And despite that, they're still the second best defensive team in the league, and you can't tell me that a guy who plays 37.5 minutes per game for them is somehow not part of that.
Yeah, you're right. So I put in points per game greater than or equal to 25. assists per game greater than equal to 5, at least 2 steals, and at least a block. There have been 2 guys in the history of the NBA that have done it, Michael Jordan and Dwayne Wade.
Yeah, there you go.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, yep, it is pretty good. So,
And like LeBron, or not LeBron, and Harden is like even better than him in a couple of these categories.
probably got more rebounds and
Yeah.
hit more threes.
Better assists than Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah, more threes. Yeah. Holy moly, this is crazy.
Yeah, it's not being appreciated enough, I think. Like, okay, we've talked all about Harden. Like other MVP candidates, Curry, yes.
Curry,
But I think the team is too valuable. I think they're doing too good a job of being Spursian that it kind of takes away from his. Yeah. Listen, Curry is playing phenomenal basketball, but if you want to talk about like the two of them up against each other, obviously the big determining factor is the team they're playing with, because you talk about this is the big debate with MVP every year is like, how is it defined? Is it the best player? Is it the best player on the best team? Is it the guy that if you took him away from his team wouldn't be as good? And obviously you look at Curry, who's got a legitimate shot at a 50-40-90 season while shooting like 17 times a game. It is just unreal. He's averaging 23.5 points, 5.2 rebounds, 7.6 assists, 1.9 steals, and he's hitting 3 threes a game. Like, obviously what he's doing is amazing, and his team is the best in the NBA right now, but you can't, I think calling him the MVP kind of takes away from the fact that his teammates have been phenomenal and have been very valuable as well.
Yeah.
And have stepped up into different roles, and just if that's what it comes down to at the end of the day, it's Harden at this point, and it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Obviously, LeBron and Durant will have something to say about the race before all is said and done. Anthony Davis is a very obvious candidate, like on our site's power MVP power ranking thing. Davis obviously has been number 1 in it the whole time, and a big part of that is because he contributes the most. Like, if you talk about the best player and someone who contributes the most to their team's wins, like, obviously, like, he is the most valuable player on that team. Like, they are an 0-25 team without him, basically, compared to the 12-12 team they are now, or the 13-12 team they are, whatever they are.
I think the difference between Harden and Anthony Davis is that they both have really bad teammates, but Harden is winning.
Yeah. There you go, and it's there. And other candidates beyond, like, obviously, I think Harden and Curry are obviously at the top, and I think Durant and LeBron are guys that are going to make cases for themselves, just because, if anything, people are just like not paying attention to them because they're almost too used to how good they are, and they're going to have to, the narrative has to come along with it. But Anthony Davis is playing like an MVP, but might not be because his team's not good enough. Marc Gasol is playing like an MVP, but might not be the MVP because his team is good, kind of like Curry's. Kyle Lowry is playing like an MVP, but he might.
John Wall is playing like an MVP.
And John Wall is playing like an MVP, but they might get their votes taken away from them because they play in the East, and their record might not mean as much to people. So at the end of the day, I think you and I both agree on Harden. So that's that discussion over and done with, I think. Should we have a quick look at the fantasy? Like, are we running long here, or should we take a quick look at that, or what do you think?
Yeah, we got a couple minutes.
Okay, well, we'll talk about fantasy. What angle do you want to take? You want to talk, ads? You want to talk some daily? What do you want to do?
Ooh, good question.
Well, first of all, just get it out of the way. I want to make a point. Like, one of your hottest ads right now. If you've yet to pick him up in your league, if he's still available, and in Yahoo leagues he's still available in over half of them, go ahead and get Robert Covington. Like, that guy is just nailing threes, filling up the box score. He plays for the Sixers, and he's just filling things up, and he absolutely deserves to be owned right now while he's on this hot streak.
Yeah.
So he's a must-add guy. I think Jody Meeks, who is a guy who had a great season last year and is coming off a 20-point game, and once he shakes off some of the rust, the Pistons absolutely need his shooting. So I think he's going to get a lot of time and a lot of attention, and he's going to need to be owned in a lot of leagues as well.
Yeah.
And I guess besides that, I'd make the make the play maybe for Chris Middleton. We talked about the Bucks, and I feel like he's going to get a good opportunity now with Jabari out. So I think you're going to want him. He's going to be a hot pickup this week as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Talking daily, we're obviously not going to get this out for.
Sorry. One more guy is I'd look at Chris Kaman. Robin Lopez is going to be out for a couple months. He doesn't look like he's going to start, but he's been a really good per minute performer this year, and I think with the extra minutes, he's going to, he's old and he's obviously like on the downswing of his career by a pretty wide margin, but he's a guy that makes for a hot pickup right now. So.
Yeah.
Those are your four: Covington, Meeks, Middleton, and Kaman. I think are guys you're looking for on your waiver wire if you're looking for some help.
Cool.
Daily, this won't be out in time for tonight's games, but do you want to talk about who have been good plays lately and who are guys you're looking for on the regular basis now?
Yeah, I think I think we have an article that's out on Numberfire. It's one of our main dudes does it every day. He posts the optimized lineup the day afterwards, so it's like whatever the perfect lineup was that you could have had that could have got the most points possible.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. I've never seen that done anywhere. I was actually pretty into that.
Yeah, so that's really cool to check out, and he does it. He does it every day, so he'll put out an article and it just kind of gives you a table of what the best lineup at each daily site is. So that's really cool to see, because if you start, just kind of looking through and collecting data, you'll start to see trends like which positions you should pay up for, and which guys are underpriced for a while, and which sites. Yeah, and you can even see which sites are slower to adjust salaries, because they're always seen on one site, Harden was in the perfect lineup for 6 days in a row. So it's, if you look at that site and you say, okay, well, they're probably a little bit slower to adjust their salaries and to bump him up to where, he should not necessarily be in the perfect lineup every night, because he should be pricey enough where you have to think about it to make it fair. But, yeah, I would encourage go read those and just kind of just look through them each day. They're real short, and you can kind of just see the perfect lineup of every site. But if you just look at them every day for 5 minutes or so, you can really start to get some good trends on who's playing really well, who's underpriced, which positions are important to pay up for, which ones you can get value at. It's just one of those things where you got to grind out and just keep on checking. But
that's good advice.
Yeah, as far as daily plays, we're not going to get this out. Injuries are always good to capitalize on. Like Chris Kaman, like you said, is going to be, a hot ad, especially in daily, because he's going to be underpriced for the first little bit until they adjust it.
They're all still underpriced, so they're good guys to play.
Yeah, the Bucks guys are going to be underpriced for a little bit now that Jabari's out.
Yeah.
Like Schroeder is going to be Schroeder. He's going to be, a hot play tonight because of Teague not playing. Just if there's an injury and you minutes are fantasy gold in basketball. It doesn't even really matter how good the player is. It kind of does, but it doesn't really. If that player gets minutes, then they're going to be fantasy relevant. So
yeah, it's a very good point.
It's just figuring out who's going to get the minutes that night and making the salaries work. And, you can cash on those nights if you're just smart about that.
Yeah, totally.
Cool. Anything else?
No, I guess that's it. I would still. There's still a couple guys. Just very quickly, there are a couple guys in fantasy basketball in the season-long thing that I would buy low on. I'd still like to mention that just because we haven't spoke about it in a while. I think it'd be I like to put in a little bit of fantasy stuff while we can. I'd still buy low on a couple guys like Al Jefferson, Nick Batum, Kenneth Faried. These are guys that are going to get better and they're going to play out at the end of the season much better. If you can get on them now. Serge Ibaka is a big one because he didn't really take off as much as people thought when Westbrook and Durant were out. But now that he's going back to he had 7 blocks the other night, and I think that being back in that position now where he can roam a little bit more freely
Yeah.
with the other two back that he's gonna be a lot better. Blake
Yeah.
Griffin, I think, is someone you can
Mhm.
still buy low on. But there are a lot of really good guys out there, and I still strong like Andre Drummond. I still strongly believe in buying these guys that have had hard starts to the season, and to like, just see what you can get them for. Like if you're not if you're concerned about um, them staying like that all season long, like that's obviously a concern. But if you can end up buying low on them, like you can't stress enough how much that's a good way to working the waiver wire, and buying low in trades are really good ways to win championships after your draft. I mean, a lot of them are won that way.
Yep.
So,
Agreed. Cool.
yeah,
Sounds great. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll talk to you next time.
yeah, great. It's good to be back, and hopefully it won't be too long before we're back again. Thanks a lot.
See y'all.